All right, ready to dive in. Today we're tackling the law of attraction. You know that whole idea that your thoughts can shape your reality?
Oh, yeah. This one's a classic.
Definitely a classic and a fascinating one. The Essential Law of Attraction collection by Esther and Jerry Hicks.
Those two were pioneers.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it's not just theory. We're talking about real-life transformations here, guided by Esther and Jerry and their connection to some, well, let's say unique entities, a group of non-physical entities called Abraham.
That's putting it mildly, right?
For sure. So we're going deep today, exploring the big questions like, can your thoughts really influence your health, your wealth? And what about those negative thoughts? Can they actually attract unwanted experiences?
Lots to unpack there.
Absolutely. And to kick things off, I've got to ask, what was it about Esther and Jerry that makes their take on the law of attraction so compelling?
For me, it's that they didn't just talk the talk, they really lived it.
Yeah.
Applying these principles to their own lives and seeing some pretty incredible results.
Okay, examples, please. What kind of transformations did they experience?
Well, for starters, Esther built a multinational business from scratch using these principles.
Seriously, a multinational business.
And then there's Jerry, always fascinated by the unseen world, ends up connecting with this group of non-physical entities, Abraham. It's a wild ride, their story.
Multinational business, communicating with non-physical beings. This is not your typical self-help stuff. I'm definitely intrigued. Okay, tell me more about this whole Abraham connection. Where did that begin?
Well, it kind of all started with a book, Seth Speaks, by Jane Roberts. It practically jumped off the shelf at Esther.
I get that. Some books just hit you like that, you know.
Totally. Esther described it as this intense, almost like premonition, a strong reaction to the book.
So what was it about Seth Speaks that resonated with Esther so strongly?
Well, Seth Speaks dives into consciousness, the idea that we create our reality through our thoughts and beliefs, all that good stuff. It was a turning point for Esther, ignited a deep curiosity about these concepts.
Sounds like it opened a whole new world for her. What about Jerry? Did he share this fascination with the unseen?
Oh, absolutely. Jerry had some experiences of his own. Even as a kid, he was experimenting with a Ouija board.
No way. A Ouija board.
Yeah. And while Esther was initially a bit wary of all that, their shared passion for personal growth, their desire for a more fulfilling life, that's really what brought them together on this path.
So they went from Ouija boards to meditating with non-physical entities. Picture this, they're in a meditation session and Esther experiences this total shift in consciousness, this powerful force breathing into her lungs, this wave of pure love enveloping her. That was her first encounter with Abraham.
Wow, that's powerful. So who or what is Abraham exactly?
Abraham describes themselves as a group of non-physical teachers. They offer guidance, wisdom, all about the law of attraction and how it works, how it shapes our reality.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Esther and Jerry, two people seeking a more fulfilling life, connecting with this group of non-physical teachers who offer teachings on the law of attraction. Sounds like something straight out of a movie. But how does all this relate to the average person, someone like me?
That's the beauty of it. Abraham, speaking through Esther and Jerry, they offered practical guidance, real-world stuff, on how to apply the law of attraction to everyday life.
So it's not just about wishing and hoping, but actually taking control of your thoughts and emotions to create what you want.
Exactly. And they introduced this idea of vibrational alignment. Think of it like tuning a radio to a specific station. Your inner being, your true self, is like the perfect station. Positive emotions, those are indicators you're tuned in, aligned with your inner being.
So if I'm feeling joy, love, gratitude, that means I'm on the right track.
Precisely. But when those negative emotions pop up, fear, doubt, anger, that's a sign you're out of tune. Like your thoughts are creating resistance to what you really want.
It's like our emotions are giving us feedback, telling us whether our thoughts are helping or hurting our chances of getting what we want. I like that. More concrete than just good vibes. But what about, techniques? How do you actually manifest those desires?
That's where deliberate creation comes in. Abraham lays out specific techniques for setting intentions, visualizing those desired outcomes, and maybe the most important part, cultivating the feeling of already having what you want.
So it's not just passive wishing, but really stepping into that energy, that feeling, as if it's already yours.
Exactly. But here's where it gets interesting. You might be thinking, hold on, so if I'm not getting what I want, does that mean I'm somehow attracting the lack of it?
Yeah, that's a tough one to swallow. Easy to blame external circumstances. But what if we're actually playing a part in creating those circumstances with our thoughts and beliefs?
That's the core of it. Abraham's message is clear. We've been given this incredible tool, the law of attraction, but most of us haven't gotten the instruction manual. And Esther and Jerry, through their connection with Abraham, they aim to provide that missing manual.
It's like having a supercomputer, but no idea how to use it.
Yeah.
So if we're unintentionally attracting what we don't want, what are some things we can do to start attracting what we do want?
Well, one key concept is the art of allowing. It's about accepting that everyone's on their own path, making their own choices. And you focus on attracting what you want without trying to force your will on others.
So letting go of that need to control, surrendering to the flow, trusting that when you're in alignment with your desires, the universe will conspire to bring them about.
Exactly. And they even talk about how the media, with its constant focus on negativity and fear, can contribute to this collective consciousness of lack and limitation.
Yeah, it's like a constant bombardment of everything that's going wrong.
Yeah.
Makes it harder to stay focused on the positive, on what we actually want to create.
Yeah.
Mental junk food.
Great analogy. And just like with what we eat, they suggest we become more mindful of the information we consume, seek out sources that uplift and inspire.
Consciously curating your mental diet. Okay, starting to see how this all connects. But what about something like physical health? Can our thoughts really influence our well-being?
They go there too. Abraham highlights this powerful connection between our thoughts and physical health. They say that vibrational alignment with well-being naturally leads to a healthier body.
So being constantly stressed and worried, is that creating resistance to wellness, making me more susceptible to getting sick?
That's the idea. But when you're feeling good, joyful, aligned with well-being, your body naturally gravitates towards health and vitality.
It's not about ignoring physical symptoms, but realizing our thoughts and beliefs play a huge role in the healing process.
Exactly. And it's not about ditching medical care either. It's about approaching it from a place of empowerment, recognizing that mind and body, they're interconnected.
So it's not just passively receiving treatment, but actively participating in your own healing. This is making me rethink my whole approach to health. What about financial abundance? Can you actually attract wealth using the law of attraction?
Absolutely. They talk about how focusing on lack, what you don't have, only brings more lack.
Like broadcasting this signal that says, I don't have enough. No wonder we keep getting more of the same.
But when we shift our focus to abundance, feeling grateful for what we have, believing we deserve more, that's when things start to change.
So it's not about greed, but about recognizing that financial well-being gives us more freedom, more choices.
Exactly. And it lets us give back, make a positive impact.
Makes sense. If you're constantly worried about money, it's hard to focus on anything else, let alone making a difference. But with that financial security, so many possibilities open up. Okay, this is all starting to click. What about those deep-rooted beliefs that hold us back? How do we overcome those limitations?
They spend a lot of time on this. We often carry limiting beliefs from childhood, from society, past experiences. These beliefs become like invisible barriers, stopping us from achieving what we truly desire.
Like those self-sabotaging thoughts. I'm not good enough. I can't afford that. I don't deserve love.
Exactly. And they say awareness is key. Once you see those limiting beliefs, you can start to challenge them.
So instead of just letting those negative thoughts take over, you actively choose to replace them with thoughts that support your desires.
You got it. And when it comes to relationships, they talk a lot about letting go of the need to control others, a major source of negativity and resistance.
It's so easy to try and change people, make them see things our way, but ultimately everyone's on their own path, making their own choices.
And trying to force someone to change, it just creates conflict, resentment.
So instead of trying to control others, they suggest focusing on our own vibration, becoming a match to what we want to experience in those relationships.
Right. And remembering we're all connected. Our energy impacts those around us. When we radiate love, acceptance, joy, we naturally attract more of that.
It's like that saying, be the change you wish to see in the world, embody the qualities you desire in your relationships, and you become a magnet for those qualities. This is incredible. We've covered so much ground, and I feel like we're just scratching the surface of Esther and Jerry's work.
Oh, there's so much more. We haven't even touched on their perspective on sexuality, their parenting insight, or how those negative influences can really affect our lives. We left off talking about Jerry's, shall we say, unconventional childhood experiences. Remember that Ouija board?
Oh, yeah. Hard to forget that. But we didn't quite get to how he and Esther ended up on this shared path, exploring these, let's call them non-traditional concepts.
Right. Well, it wasn't all smooth sailing. In fact, Esther was pretty apprehensive about Jerry's Ouija board stories at first. Her upbringing kind of instilled this fear of anything, well, non-physical.
Yeah, I can see that. Those kinds of things can be kind of freaky if you're not used to them.
Yeah.
But they didn't let that stop them, did they?
Not at all. Their shared passion for personal growth, that yearning for a more fulfilling life, that's what helped them overcome those fears and dive in together.
So inspiring. Shows you, even with those deep-seated fears, we can choose to push past them. So how did they go from there to actually connecting with Abraham?
Meditation played a big role. During one of their sessions, Esther had this profound experience. Imagine this, a powerful force breathing into your lungs, this wave of pure love just washing over you. That was her first encounter with Abraham.
Whoa, that's intense. A real game changer. Did they talk about how to prepare for such an encounter? Step-by-step guide?
Not exactly a roadmap, but they stressed quieting the mind, finding that inner stillness, and being open to receiving guidance from, well, beyond the physical realm.
Makes you wonder what we're all missing out on if we just learn to quiet those mental monkeys. So once they made that connection with Abraham, how did it actually change their lives?
Their lives were totally transformed. Talking with Abraham, they gained all these insights into how the law of attraction works, learned practical techniques to manifest their desires. It was about aligning thoughts, emotions, actions, all of it. Paved the way for a life of joy, abundance, fulfillment, you name it.
Amazing how they took these big, kind of heady concepts and made them practical, actionable, real pioneers. Okay, let's get specific. What were some of those key techniques they learned?
Deliberate creation was a big one. It's all about consciously creating your reality, getting those thoughts, emotions, and actions aligned with what you want, setting clear intentions, visualizing your goals like you've already achieved them, and feeling that feeling of already having it.
So not just wishing, but really stepping into that energy, embodying it.
Absolutely. They also talked a lot about those negative beliefs we all have, the ones that sabotage us, the I'm not good enough kind of stuff. They recognize those beliefs often come from childhood, from society, past experiences, like invisible barriers holding us back.
We've all got those voices in our heads, the ones that tell us we can't do it, we're not worthy. How did Abraham suggest we deal with them?
Awareness, that was key. Once you identify those pesky negative thoughts, you can challenge them.
So instead of letting them run the show, you actively choose to question them. Ask yourself, is this true? Does it serve me? Is this helping me get what I want?
Right. And once you've called out that limiting belief, you start replacing it with something empowering, something that supports you. They suggested things like affirmations, positive self-talk, visualization, all to kind of reprogram your subconscious mind.
Rewiring your thought patterns. Fascinating. It's not just about shoving down the negative thoughts, but replacing them with something better, something that lifts you up. They also talk about relationships and that struggle to control others. What do they say about navigating that?
They were big on recognizing that everyone's on their own path, making their own choices. Trying to force someone to change creates resistance, resentment, no good.
It's that thing we all do, wanting the best for our loved ones, but realizing, ultimately, they got to choose their own way.
Right, and letting go of control, it can be so hard, especially when you see someone you love making choices you don't agree with, choices that might even seem harmful. But they reminded us that real love is about respecting that free will, even when it's tough.
It's about supporting without controlling, offering guidance without forcing it. Powerful stuff. But what about when someone else's choices are directly affecting your well-being? How do you handle that?
They suggested shifting the focus. Instead of trying to change the other person, you focus on yourself, your own vibration. When you radiate love, acceptance, joy, you attract more of those same qualities. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is set healthy boundaries, protect your energy.
It's not about being passive or accepting bad behavior, but choosing to respond in a way that protects you, that helps create a more harmonious situation. That's such a different perspective, challenging that whole idea of fixing or rescuing others. It's about recognizing your own power to create a positive ripple effect.
You got it. And they didn't shy away from some of the more controversial topics either, like sexuality. They really challenged the norms, encouraged people to listen to their own inner guidance rather than blindly following the rules.
That must have been pretty groundbreaking, especially back then. What were some of their key messages about sexuality?
They saw sexuality as this natural, beautiful expression of our creative energy. It should be guided by your own inner compass, not by some external set of rules. They wanted people to explore their desires, their preferences, without shame or guilt, trusting that their own inner wisdom would lead them to fulfilling and joyful experiences.
A message of empowerment, owning your sexuality, celebrating it. Such a powerful message, especially in a world where sexuality is often seen as something to be ashamed of.
And they acknowledge that many people carry negative baggage around sexuality. Past experiences, societal conditioning, all that. But those negative feelings, they're not a sign you're doing something wrong, more like a sign that your beliefs aren't aligned with your true desires.
Like we've been programmed to feel bad about certain things, even if they feel natural and good to us.
Exactly. And they encouraged us to question those beliefs, explore our sexuality with curiosity, openness, always honoring our truth and respecting the boundaries of others. It was a truly groundbreaking perspective, promoting freedom, self-acceptance.
So refreshing to hear that emphasis on personal empowerment, celebrating our differences. They really shook things up, offered a more open and liberating view of sexuality. I'm also curious about their thoughts on parenting. They seem to have a unique approach, didn't they?
They had so much respect for children, saw them not as these blank slates, waiting to be molded, but as powerful creators in their own right, each with their own desires and destinies.
Beautiful way to look at it. Shifts the focus from control to collaboration, recognizing their innate wisdom. What advice do they give parents trying to balance guidance with control?
They encourage parents to be guides, not controllers. Create a supportive, loving environment where kids can thrive, explore their potential without pressure to conform.
A gentler, more empowering approach. Encourage kids to trust their gut, make their own choices, learn from their experiences.
Exactly. And one of the greatest gifts we can give our kids, self-love. Model what it means to truly accept and appreciate yourself, flaws and all. So important. When kids feel loved and supported for who they are, they're more likely to create a life they love, build healthy relationships, attract positive experiences. It's like we're setting them up for success by nurturing their self-worth.
Precisely. And they didn't shy away from the impact of negative influences, especially how the media can feed into this collective sense of fear and limitation. We're bombarded with negativity, all the bad news. It can be hard to stay positive, to believe in a better future.
It's like we're programmed to expect the worst, that life's a constant struggle and we're powerless to change it. But they had a different take, didn't they?
They always emphasized choice. We choose what we focus on, what we believe, what we let into our minds. They encouraged being mindful of the information we consume, seeking out sources that uplift and inspire us, choosing thoughts that empower us, that align with our desires.
Taking control of that mental diet. We have the power to shape our reality by choosing to focus on the good, on what we want to create, on what we want to see more of. We become active participants in shaping a better world, a world with more love, more joy, more abundance. Not ignoring the challenges, but approaching them with a more empowered, optimistic mindset.
This has been incredible. This deep dive into the work of Esther and Jerry Hicks has really shifted my perspective. Their message, it's so powerful and timeless. Love, abundance, taking responsibility for your own reality. It resonates with so many people, inspires us to live a better life.
It's a message that cuts across cultures, speaks to the heart of what it means to be human. They left behind a powerful legacy, reminding us that we are all creators. We shape our reality with our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions.
It's been an honor exploring their work with you. I hope this deep dive has sparked something in you, inspired you to learn more, to put these principles into practice in your own life.
Remember, you are powerful. The universe is working with you. Trust the process. Focus on what you want, and enjoy the journey.
Thank you for joining us. Keep those powerful thoughts flowing and create the life you dream of.